Well, the story begins with Leila finds a diagram in a textbook showing equilateral triangle. That's important. Now, what is an equilateral triangle? All sides are equal. So, that is important. With an equilateral triangle, perimeter is important. So that's the outer boundary, and the easiest possible thing to remember is perimeter is the added value. That's how most of the young people would think about. It may not be true all the time. Triangle, the perimeter of the triangle is twice that of the triangle within it. That took me some time to understand. So if they're talking about this triangle, so they're relating the perimeter of the outside triangle with the, well, immediately inside it. So that's one thing we got to clearly understand. And the smallest one has a perimeter of 5 centimeters. Now that makes our life too uncomfortable, because we think there are plenty of information over there and it's making so complex. Unless you are familiar with mathematics and sequence and all kinds of things, like some of the historical facts, I'm not going to get into those. Now, if you go to the second paragraph, possibly you have the most important information. And see how they confuse everything with the redundant sort of information. So you got to be careful. You need lots of practice. So basically that's where the real information begins, and I am looking at the most important thing, which is an exponential equation. Now you got to go through exponential equations in details, otherwise you won't understand it. Now there are two parts. 5 is being multiplied with a powered number, 2 to the power n minus 1, and at one stage we thought that cannot be solved without advanced mathematics. That's not true, because if you understand the rule of indices, and if you understand, well, the magical number 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 2, and so on, so you got to start thinking about 2 to the power 1 is 2, 2 to the power 2 is 4, 2 to the power 3 is 8, 2 to the power 4 is 16, and so on. And also you got to review your understanding of the factor tree, like 216. If you start splitting it into a prime factor of 2, so 2 times 108 gives you 216. 2 times 54, and so on. You can split it. So those are some of the things you got to review. Now let's get back to this equation. It says when n is the number of triangles in order, from smallest to largest, which triangle will have a perimeter of 640 centimeters? So that will be 640, 5 lots of 2 to the power n minus 1. Right. I want to finish that in single page. Right? So now, what do I do first? That's the question I asked all the time in the classroom. So most of the students would say, or some of the students would say, first of all, you got to do 640 divided by 5. See that? Which gives you, now you got to have the skill of basic understanding of multiplication table and divisions. 5 goes into 6 one time, remainder is 1, and 5 goes into 14 2 times, and you have still the remainder of 40. So 5 goes into 48 times. That gives you 128. Nice and easy number. So if you divide 640 by 5, that gives you 128, which is 2 to the power n minus 1. Now we got to think about base 2. What is base 2? See? 2 to the power n. This is the base. Now match the base. This is what I keep talking in the class. Match the base. So now you got to split 128 into base 2. 2 goes into 128 64 times. 2 goes into 64 32 times. 2 goes into 32 16 times. 2 goes into 16 2 times 8, 2 times 4, and 2 times 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I hope I have done it right. I'll just stop a little bit. Okay, back once again. It's getting messy, but I want to finish it within one page. So now we know 2 to the power 7 gives you 128. Now 2 to the power 7 equals 2 to the power n minus 1. Now since the base is the same, 2 and 2, from there the powers can be equated, and if I solve the basic year 9 or year 8 equation, that will give you n equals 8. So finally you got to make the statement that 8th triangle will have a perimeter of 640 centimeters.